Yeah, I just want to like give like a quick premise. I was going to tell a funny story, but I was talking to my girlfriend earlier, and she's brought up the theme of remembrance. So the story I'm going to tell has like some funny points in it, but it's a bit more kind of associated. When I thought of remembrance and I thought of my family, I thought of this story. So this is the story that I'm going to tell. So basically, in 2009, I went with my family to Samoa. We went to go visit like my ancestors and things like that, and see my auntie at the time works for ANZ Bank, and she was running the branch over there. Um, and it was one thing that I thought was really funny was a lot of my Samoan family have since moved to New Zealand. So it was like, hey, come see your family, and then it was like they're in the ground. That's So I was like looking at my ancestors, and that was cool. But at the same time, it was like there wasn't actually many of my family that was still alive that I could talk to. It was like mainly just my auntie and a couple of extended families, and then a lot of like graves and stuff, and talking about this is this person, and things like that. So it was like really cool to learn, but at the same time, I was like, oh, I want to see, So hopefully one day I'll get to go to New Zealand and see more of my family. But so in 2009, I don't know if you remember, but the tsunami happened in Samoa in 2009. And so we were actually there when it happened. But it was like it's super serendipitous, this story, I think, in the end. So basically what happened was we were going from the main island of the main island of Upolu to Savaii. And because on Savaii was some particular gravestones that my mum wanted me to visit. And on a totally different note, it's really cool. Right next to the cemetery was like a little cafe shop, and I bought a lafa lafa, which is like a sulu or a sarong, depending on what words you use. And I still wear it, and that's really cool because whenever I wear it, it always reminds me of this time. So we went from Upolu to Savaii, and there was a bit of like, it was a bit choppy and things like that, but like, obviously we didn't think anything of it. Something that's also really funny is like they don't tie down any of the cars, so it's not like here where it's like quite safe. It's like they literally pack as many cars as they can onto the barge, and then like you just like stand on the side and you're like, okay, this is cool. And so like I remember being like right next to like a massive like cinder block truck, and I was just looking up at it, and I was like, please, like I hope that nothing happens while I'm standing here. So we went over and we did that, but then on the way back, we were standing around just kind of like just chilling, just waiting to get off the barge, obviously. And we heard this thing come over the radio, and it was all in Samoan, so we didn't know what they were saying. But then everyone started getting out and stuff, and the guy came around and said, hey, like, we're actually gonna all come out and stand at the front of the deck because there could be a tsunami. We're gonna start handing out life jackets and things like that. And my auntie at the time, she had two of her workers for ANZ on the boat, and they actually couldn't swim. So that was also a thing. And luckily my brother and I, we at the time we were like lifesavers. So she said, can you like stand with them and, make sure that they're okay and things like that. So we're all standing with them. And instead of the boat going into port, it actually pulled all the way back out to like open water. And the way the captain explained it more with hand signs and words was like, the water, as the water reaches the landmass, it goes up. So he was like, if we stay out in the open water, it should just come underneath us, hopefully. And so it was a bit scary for a while, and like, we were sitting there and we were like, oh, what's going to happen? But in the end, like nothing happened to us. We just came back into port, and we were just sitting out there for about an extra probably hour or 2 hours. And obviously it was super scary for us, but then coming back onto the land, talking to my auntie, there was the massive earthquake. Like, everyone was saying, did you guys feel it? Did you guys feel it? And we didn't feel anything. So that was like, it was really, obviously was super scary at the time, but to come out of it and to actually realize that we were probably like in the safest place out of all the things that happened, and how scary it was for my family and stuff. Where we were, we ended up being, we didn't feel the earthquake, we didn't get any massive rushes of water or anything. We just sat out there for 2 hours and then came back in. And it was crazy, like the amount of force and stuff. It was mainly on the other side of the island, so where we went up here on Upolu. So where we were, it actually wasn't too bad. It was mainly on the other side of the island as well. So that was like super safe. And there's a couple of funny memories that I remember with that. And one is, I remember all the tourists rushing towards the airport or rushing towards the barges, and then all the locals going the other way. I remember seeing like, a good like group of 40 or 50 people running this way, and one like local dude just sitting there by his by his umu or by his hangi, depending on how you call it, just sitting there just watching it cook, and he just looked up at everyone and then just went back to watching his food cook, and he was like, or like all the locals were still playing touch out on the field and everything, and everyone was like, oh no, get to high ground, get to high ground, and they were like, just relax, and then they were, so like I'll never forget that. That was like a really, really funny time. And then also when we were on the boat, there was another group of Australians on the boat, and they were doing all the speeches in Samoan, and they noticed that, like, you know, because my mum's quite olive skinned, so they were like, oh, you know, so they were talking to mum a lot, and they'll start talking to dad, and they said, oh, do you know what they're saying? And dad goes, no, like, I don't speak Samoan. And then, you know, you talk and you kind of forget that the person said that, and they made another announcement over the radio, and then they looked at my dad and said, oh, and my dad started nodding like as if he knew, and they looked at him and they said, oh, what did he say? And he said, I just told you, I don't speak Samoan. I'm just pretending. I don't want anyone here to know that I don't know what they're saying. You know, so that was like really funny. Even with everything that was going on, it was really cool to have someone like my dad around to have some humor. But yeah, when I think of like my family and remembrance, I think of that was the story that came to mind. So I want to share that with everyone here today.